Good morning, everyone. How is your day going so far? Enough coffee? All right. This is me. 5 weeks ago in Trans-Rockies Run. This was a 6-day adventure covering 120 miles, 20,000 feet of elevation gain in the Colorado Rockies. I recall the moment on the third day, 8 miles into this day's race, where I started to feel exhausted, not really great, running out of water, and really questioning myself, questioning my sanity. What am I doing here? Why did I sign up for this? As I approached the aid station, this was the first station after the 8 miles of running at the top of the mountain, a kind volunteer offered me to refill my bottles, then pointed me at the table with food, and you should have seen that aid station. There was such a variety of snacks, water, electrolytes, all the essentials. Another volunteer helped me to stow my running poles because I wouldn't need them on the descent. I got some watermelon and a crunchy pickle, and it felt great. And I was back re-energized and ready to go. As miles went, as I started on my adventure, I was able to get back into the flow and really stay on pace and feel good. And I had this epiphany. This aid station crew was just absolutely awesome. The crew that helped me and really knew what I needed at that time. That crew was like what I want my team, the developer platform at Airbnb, to be, being really awesome and providing this amazing experience. And you might be wondering, what does trail running and ultra running has to do with software engineering? Actually, there is a lot in common. You need to know your goals. Why are you doing this? Are you trying to finish your first race? Are you trying to set a personal record or get to the podium? You have to be prepared. You need a strategy, a plan. You have to problem solve because with long distance, anything can happen and things frequently don't go as planned. And you have to stay in the flow and really enjoy the experience, maintain speed. And I want our developers to feel as amazing as I did in that race. And developer platform, my team, to be as great as that Trans-Rockies crew, providing super awesome experience for our developers so they can stay in the flow and enjoy accomplishing their goals without worrying about anything else. At Airbnb, we really care about developer experience and productivity, and today I will tell you a little bit about what's worked for us and what we are doing and investing in to further improve developer experience and productivity. My name is Anna, and I am grateful for the opportunity to be here with you. Before we jump in, raise your hand if you are working on a single monorepo. Anyone? Look around. How about the multi-repo environment? Anyone? Oh, wow. Some companies are going all the way and put all code in a single repo, while many others go for multi-repo and build a layer of conventions and frameworks on top to provide smooth experience across multiple repos. At Airbnb, we have a monorepo per test stack, similar to what Ali described in his keynote yesterday about Uber's developer environment. This setup has given us the best balance of scalability and features. Our backend is mostly Java, about 75% or so. The Kotlin is growing in popularity for new services, and we have a little bit of Scala, mostly for data pipelines. We chose safety of TypeScript for web. Interestingly, native, even though iOS and Android are obviously separate stacks, we have them live in the same repository where they share tooling, not the application code, but tooling and CI infrastructure, and we find that helpful. And that works for us because the developer cohorts for iOS and Android are relatively small comparing to backend. And so that seems great. And speaking of cohorts, we see some overlap between different developer personas and different cohorts, and with the biggest one, of course, being the backend. And this is where we face most scaling challenges as well as developer experience challenges when it comes to IDE, snappiness, Git performance, CI speed, and stability. On a repo per tech stack resulted, as you see, in a small number of tech stack-specific repos. Each has its unique challenges based on the uniqueness of the tech stack and also the size of the developer cohorts. At the same time, there is still a lot of common infrastructure that is shared between these repos: CI/CD, code review experience, remote workspace support. And to ensure we build a cohesive experience for our product teams, we have to partner closely with product infrastructure teams, and that are like GraphQL infrastructure or UI UI frameworks optimized for product. Not pictured here, we also partner closely with the lower level infrastructure, compute and storage, and so on, because all of this contributes to the full developer experience. And strong partnerships are critical to effectively support the evolution of our tech stack and our product needs. Zooming into the developer platform tech stack a little bit, we provide generic developer infrastructure shared between the repositories, and we also have teams that are dedicated to each developer platform. Those teams build paved path solutions on top of reusable platform blocks, providing optimized experience for backend, web, and iOS and Android. To give you a sense of scale, based on the last few weeks of data, we handle several thousands of pull requests and up to 50,000 CI builds weekly. Another cool thing about Airbnb, our engineers can live and work from anywhere. This means that the culture has to be remote and async friendly. This also means that our developer platform products must work from any location. And another notable fact about our developer experience is that our SRE team is relatively small. And so our engineering teams handle, maintain, and operate their services in production and are on call for them, while the SRE team provide guidance and general infrastructure around reliability, observability, and all that goodness. Now that you got a sense of how we work, let's briefly go through some of the top challenges that we have been facing. First, we don't want our engineers to wander around a broad menu of tools and frameworks trying to figure out what to take out of the toolbox to solve their problem. We need an opinionated paved path to reduce the developer cognitive load. This is also important for our prioritization, so we don't spread ourselves too thin and invest in the highest leverage offerings for developers. And especially for the backend, we've been facing slow builds and subpar IDE experience. Some of the challenges with testing can be due to factors outside of our team's control. For example, untestable architecture or a lot of technical debt. However, there are plenty of opportunities for us to provide testability essentials, such as fast and reliable CI, build infrastructure, ergonomic test frameworks, automated canary analysis, and so on. So looking at some of the recent successful investments for us, we haven't solved all the challenges that I highlighted in the previous slide, but I will touch on the few top 3 things that proved to be most valuable for us. First of all, the ephemeral cloud-native test environment, where engineers can quickly deploy unreviewed work-in-progress code. We want to make it really fast for developers to iterate in the code change, deploy, plus test loop. As a part of the effort to bring all engineers on the paved path, we actively worked on removing all test environments and frameworks. This has been hard because, as you all know, it's always more fun to build new things than get rid of legacy stuff. And this year, we are quite happy with the evolution of our developer survey and and the metrics we use for tracking developer experience. So let me dive quickly into each of these three. Here you can see in the inner loop on the left, every engineer trying to make code changes and test them will create an Airdev deployment in the center. That is connected to staging on the right. The reason Airdev is connected to staging is that typically engineers want to deploy a couple of services or one or two for testing while connecting to the rest of the existing service graph in the shared environment. Airdev environment is private. That means that developers do not step on each other's feet when testing. And within the inner loop, engineers leverage the Airdev workspace that you can see on the left, which is a local development environment in the cloud. Workspace runs on very fast AWS resources, providing consistent, reliable environment, and it also runs an IDE server. It is effectively an IDE in the cloud, and today we support VS Code, IntelliJ, and soon Jupyter for notebooks. Now let's see how the outer loop fits in the big picture here. You can see that the components of the outer loop interact with the Airdev test environment in the middle of the diagram. Worth noting that even though you can see the big cloud in the middle, in reality there are many, possibly thousands of Airdev test environments running in parallel and supporting developer experience, developer inner loop as well as outer loop. Starting from the left, we use GitHub for source repos and code review. We leverage build-kite for CI and deploy services under test with Airdev and unleash integration testing to provide signal to pull requests and at merge time. For deployments, we use Spinnaker. Integration tests and end-to-end tests are hooked up into the deployment pipeline and run with Airdev. And finally, the code gets deployed to staging and production with canary analysis hooked up to the production deployment. With Airdev, we found our engineers deploy for testing faster than before. And thanks to the Airdev remote building capabilities, we also improved local build times with our cloud environment. We have seen really great organic adoption with Airdev among the developers, and this enabled us to remove a bunch of legacy test environments. So our goal is to make common developer workflows easy and frictionless and uncommon possible. Having too many options, tools, and frameworks to accomplish same task is problematic on many levels. It increases cognitive load for developers, and it also increases costs for maintainers. And there will be always new cases that aren't served well by the paved path. And to address that, we provide platforms and APIs on top so our customers can accomplish their unique non-standard use cases. And we also remove legacy tech to drive down cognitive load and cost. Our investment in Spinnaker is an example of standardizing automation and expectations around deployment and quality. So this slide, this is what it looked like before, and there are a bunch of names you might not be familiar with because this just illustrates the legacy test environments that we used to have. This is the depiction of where we want to be, and we are not quite there yet, but close. Having one centralized way to and one environment to test in. Now, understanding developers is crucial, as we all know, and for that, we leverage combination of leading and lagging indicators as well as qualitative feedback. To build empathy for our developers, we invest in deep collaboration, often forming cross-organizational partnerships, and that's been particularly valuable for us. Working closely with handpicked set of alpha users and rapidly iterating and prototyping with them. As for developer experience metrics, we adopted a simplified subset of DORA and SPACE to track progress. To learn more about how we do this, I hope you can join Christopher Sanson's lightning talk later today at 4 p.m. Finally, we run biannual developer experience surveys. There's an entire science on how to do this well and how to get best engagement from developers. The tactics that have worked for us are threefold. First, avoid survey fatigue by keeping the surveys short and not too frequent. Second, keep the questions reasonably high level for durable and consistent structure over time. And third, allow free text responses. That's been a complete treasure chest for us. And this time we even used AI to mine and summarize these comments. Now that we covered some of our successful investments, let's zoom in to what's coming next. For the foreseeable future, we will be focusing our efforts on the following goals. Faster all the three goals are very important, but my personal favorite is faster feedback loops. We want to make it even faster for developers to validate code changes, going from minutes to seconds, from seconds to instantaneous feedback where appropriate. This is really hard and requires ingenuity to, for example, drive the service startup or integration testing to a few-second turnaround. To drive CI/CD success rates, we explicitly invest in reducing flakiness in infrastructure and educating our customers on best practices. And with that, to achieve our goals, we'll be focusing on this set of investments. And Bazel is easier, right? That's what they say. Key callouts here are completing the Bazel migration of for the backend. We're done on iOS already and getting very close for web. And figuring out how to best leverage AI-assisted engineering for years to come. Hope you had a chance to see Shapan's presentation yesterday about how Airbnb leverages AI to boost engineering productivity. And now, let's quickly dive into each of this. Raise your hand if you have migrated to Bazel already. Okay. Just a few in the back. Who is still migrating? Oh, wow. Okay. So Gradle to Bazel migration for the backend has been a challenge and undertaking, but we are making good progress. Since all of our backend lives in a large single repository of around 27 million lines of code, we picked Bazel to help us achieve faster builds. And here are some key elements of our migration strategy. We strive to provide automated migration where possible, and the right incentives, the incentives of faster builds. But our repo is too big for one central team to handle it all. So we partner with customer teams as they opt in to migrate their projects, and this allows for incremental progress towards the full migration. Also, to make the IDE experience with Bazel better, we forked the open source IntelliJ Bazel plugin. And one key decision that we had to make is that inside the IDE, we use IntelliJ incremental compiler and test executor instead of delegating those tasks to Bazel. This allowed us to tighten the compile unit test loop and achieve few-second turnaround time. Big incentive for the teams to migrate. Also, we built a custom Bazel files generator to help engineers with auto-updating dependencies or refactoring code. And it is hooked into the CI so that developers don't have to remember to update Bazel files when submitting PRs. Now, let's quickly zoom into our approach to faster developer inner loops. As mentioned in the previous slide about Bazel, with the forked IntelliJ plugin, we are able to achieve incremental compilation and unit test turnaround on the order of a few seconds. However, booting up services and running integration tests currently can take a few or even several minutes. To drive this down, we are investing in a super lightweight test mode of starting services that will take just a few seconds. Also, we are overhauling our integration test framework to automatically save downstream responses, allowing much faster and more consistent test reruns. Now, let's take a look at another particular challenging area of our investment. Earlier, I talked about ephemeral cloud environments and our Airdev project. Developers deploy using Airdev and connect to the staging environment for the rest of the service graph. This strategy has worked well for us and proved to be valuable to bring developers on the paved path and remove legacy test environments. The staging environment provides high utility, and at the same time, we predict that eventually we will hit the point of diminishing returns with it. After all, staging is yet another environment to maintain and keep in sync with production. So our North Star for developer and test environment is to eventually enable safe testing against production downstreams. Here, permission infrastructure plays a key role because we need to ensure that testing cannot affect production. With this, we're hoping to incrementally reduce reliance on central staging environment that all our teams depend on. Worth noting that even in this ideal future, some teams may still choose to own staging environments for their own testing purposes, and that's okay, as long as they can conveniently develop using Airdev and safely connect to production downstreams. While we work towards the North Star, staging will continue to serve us as pre-production environment where most integration and end-to-end tests happen. Finally, AI-powered development is an area of particularly increasing value, as we all know. And there are three main categories of investment here for us. So first, we offer two chat interfaces. Glean Chat is something that we use that is hooked up to our company resources such as Google Drive, email, Slack, etc. And One Chat, that's based on ChatGPT. We use it for everything else, especially good for generating code and tests. And it also supports Airbnb aware mode, which connects to company resources and can provide more contextual results. Much has been already said about GitHub Copilot. For us, we found it particularly useful for generating boilerplate code more quickly inside your IDE. And finally, at Airbnb, we made it easy to prototype and build custom solutions on top of OpenAI. We put a thin layer on top of OpenAI APIs, supporting easy and safe integration. It handles things like authentication, load balancing, audit trail, etc. So our developers can easily innovate with AI. One quick example of cool ChatGPT integration for developer productivity is Review GPT. And you might have heard about that from Stepan yesterday. Essentially, you can give instructions for what you want to look at. For example, focus on security aspects of the code review or quality of the markdown. And with the description and the actually full diff, you send this to AI, and it gives you amazing results. This is just an example. So this was built as a hackathon project just recently, and this is one example of potential integrations of AI in the developer workflow. The possibilities are truly endless, and I'm looking forward to seeing all the innovation in this space. With all this work, we want to minimize friction and disruptions for our developers so they can stay in the flow, feel fulfilled, and do their best work. Thank you for having me here. And if you have any questions, please find me in the hallway.